Hey, today I'm talking to you about the 10 top cities in Mexico that people are moving to. Whatever you want to call yourself, an expat, an immigrant, a digital nomad, this is where people are going. But I want to tell you guys, this is an updated video. In March 2021, I published another video called Top 5 Cities in Mexico for Black Expats. Y'all are still watching that video. But I realized the other day that the information, specifically the expenses, are significantly off what they are right now. And so in this video, I'm updating those numbers and I'm expanding it to add in 5 more cities. So let's get to it. Hi, if this is your first time here, my name is Rashida Dow. I'm a career break coach. I have lived in Mexico City for a few years and I love living in Mexico. I talk to people all the time who want to move here and have questions about different cities, and this is an attempt to answer some of those questions. I am going to be looking at my notes a bunch today because this information is very specific, and so if I don't look at my notes, I'm going to be making stuff up. All right. In my video for the top 5 cities for Black expats, the cities I examined were Playa del Carmen, Merida, Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Puerto Vallarta. This time around, I'm adding 5 more cities, and those cities are Monterrey, Tijuana, Queretaro, Cancun, and Guanajuato. So let's get to it. The data I used is from The Earth Awaits, and that site is theearthawaits.com, and it's a great site if you're thinking about moving to any city, anywhere, to get information. Now, they're not going to have city information about every single city in the world, but they are going to have a lot of information that'll be really helpful to you as you look at regions and expenses, and you want to start comparing things. This is where I always go to do my research. So let's get to it. Before we get started though, let me tell you the categories I looked at just to give you a little bit more flavor about the cities. The categories were cost of living, because that is the number one thing people want to talk about, the cost of living for one person. This is the cost of living for one person. You can multiply it. You can get in theearthawaits.com yourself and change it yourself. You can adjust in there for the number of people in your family. This is just a gateway. I can't do all the information for everybody, and so this is one person. It's also for a 1-bedroom apartment in city center. I'm going to give you the price for all these cities of a 1-bedroom apartment in the city center. I'll talk about the population of these cities, the average download speed, and the average upload speed for the internet, because a lot of us who come here need access to work online, we need to get on computers and phones and things. And the internet, it's not like the olden days, right? Like even if we're not working, we still want the internet. And so I'm going to tell you where the internet speed is good and where it's abysmal, to be perfectly honest. We're also going to talk about the traffic index, and I'll explain all of these as I go through, the quality of healthcare, the crime level, the pollution level, the walk score, the weather, and how far a major airport is from that city center. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's get to cost of living. It's a pretty basic calculation. You can look at this in theearthawaits.com. I'll tell you what the numbers are right here. The lowest cost of living of the 10 cities I mentioned is in Queretaro, where the cost of living per month for one person, and these are going to be average numbers, of course, is going to be, they're average numbers, and these are calculated on what the Earth Awaits describes as a modest lifestyle. I don't know too many people who are aiming to live a modest lifestyle. So if you're planning on moving to Mexico, to any of these cities, and you see these numbers, in your own budget, I'd bump it up a bit. Right? Okay, so for Querétaro, the cost of living for a modest lifestyle, one person, is $1,148. Okay. The most expensive of the 10 cities is Puerto Vallarta. And that cost of living, same thing, modest lifestyle, one person in a 1-bedroom apartment in the city center, is $1,834. Now, what's funny here is that Puerto Vallarta was one of the 5 cities I looked at in my video from 2 years ago. And at that time, the cost of living was lower in Puerto Vallarta than it is in Mexico City, But in the past 2 years, the cost of living in Puerto Vallarta has surpassed the Mexico City cost of living. So highest is Puerto Vallarta, lowest is Queretaro. Moving on to the next category, what does it cost on average for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center? No surprise here, the lowest price for a one-bedroom on average is in Queretaro, where that is on average $513. Now, this is where we differ a little bit from the last category. The highest average one-bedroom apartment of the 10 cities I mentioned is in Playa del Carmen. And that price is $1,003 for a one-bedroom apartment on average in the city center. Okay. Moving on to the next category, which is population. The lowest population is in Playa del Carmen, which has about 150,000 people. Mexico City is interesting. I want to say a note here about the way the Earth Owaits calculate things. It doesn't always tell you how it calculates things, but the greater Mexico City area has about 23 million people. The way the Earth Owaits is calculated, it's giving us 12,294,000 people. There's a big difference between 23 and 12. And they could just be calculating within the city limits, but I don't think that's the right number for the city limits either. The other thing to know about this population calculation, which is why I'm kind of giving it a side eye, the population numbers did not change. They have not updated the population numbers since before March 2021 when I made my last video. So I don't know where they're getting these numbers from, and I don't know how accurate they are. But the reason I'm sharing them is that whatever their methodology is, I'm sure it was consistent across the board. So however they calculated 12 million people in Mexico City is, I'm sure, the same way they calculated 150,000 people in, 150,000 people in Playa del Carmen. I don't know if either of those numbers are, no one in Mexico City would tell you there's 12 million people here. We'd all say it's like 23. And so I don't know what Playa del Carmen people would say. All I'm saying is that relatively, that should give you some information. Playa del Carmen is a lot smaller than Mexico City. Even if we're working with 12 million as the right number for Mexico City, the next largest city on these numbers is Guadalajara, which has under 1.5 million people. So we go from 12 million to under 1.5. And I don't think 12 million is accurate. So keep that in mind as you're looking. These cities vary greatly in the population, and that can create a big difference in how the city feels and something you should consider as you're thinking about what city you might want to move to. All right, internets. All right, the Puerto Vallarta, unfortunately, has the worst internet speed based on the information gathered by the Earth Owaits. The average download speed is 3.8 megabytes per second, and the average upload speed is 0.724 uploads. This is not that uncommon for beach towns. The other towns that did not come out that shiny are like Playa del Carmen also has low numbers. Tijuana also has low numbers. Infrastructure is infrastructure. And there's a lot of important pieces to the infrastructure that we're not going to talk about here. And that's why I say, you can't just watch a video like this and decide where you want to move. You really have to go check out a city because a lot of them are going to be very different based on feel, right? You just got to go feel it. All right. The best average download speed was in Merida, which had 29.5 megabytes per second. And an average upload speed of 10.9 megabytes per second. And Guanajuato has the highest average upload speed of 44.1 megabytes per second and a good average download speed of 22.6 megabytes per second. Now I want to stop for a second because the average upload speed for Guanajuato dwarfs every other city. The second highest, so it's 44.1 megabytes per second for Guanajuato, And the next closest one is Queretaro at 11.2 megabytes per second. I'm not saying the numbers are wrong. I'm saying that's a significant difference. So that's what I got for y'all. All right. Next is the traffic index. And traffic index is always interesting to me because it's based on traffic in New York City, right? And so how does the traffic in this city compare to the traffic in New York City? I think I mentioned this before. I live in Mexico City, and this video is I'm going to have a hard time saying negative things about Mexico City in this video because I really, really love it. But when we're talking about traffic, baby, I got to tell y'all how it is. It is challenging. The traffic index in Mexico City is the worst of the 10 cities, and it's coming in at about 349. And what that means is that if New York City is at 100, Mexico City is at 349. So Mexico City traffic is 3.5 times as bad as New York traffic. Yeah, I would say traffic is the worst thing about living in the city. It's challenging to say the least. The best city, which actually kind of confuses me because when I go there, there's traffic. So I don't know what they talk about. But Puerto Vallarta came in at 52.25 on the traffic index, which means that they're about half of the traffic of New York City. Everyone else is somewhere in between. All right, quality of life. I think this is based on a survey. Let me find out real quick. I think. Can y'all hear the sirens? This is my life. No, they don't tell us how quality of life is calculated. So I can just give you comparisons, right? So the highest quality of life is in Merida, which is 60. It scores a 60, I'm guessing, out of 100, because they don't even give us that methodology. It's their secret sauce, I guess. For some reason in my brain, I don't know if I researched this in detail before, but I feel like this is done based on surveys. I'm not completely sure of who was surveyed or what questions were asked, but I think this was done on surveys. And then Mexico City has the lowest quality of life at 34. I'm gonna tell you, traffic has something to do with that. Woo, my baby don't score so well on these on paper assessments. But in the real world, she's a stunner. Mexico City is just a magical place to be. But on paper, you wouldn't swipe right. You just wouldn't. Okay, next on our list is quality of healthcare. The highest quality of healthcare, coming in at a 90, is Puerto Vallarta. This I know is done with methodology from a third party that is known to examine quality of healthcare around the world. Lowest score was Guanajuato, which came in at 60. The crime level is the lowest in Merida, where they came in at 25. It's a low score. And Tijuana came in at 72, which is classified as a high score. Tijuana is finally showing up for us, and it's with crime. Has anyone else not shown up yet? Oh, yeah. Cancun and Guadalajara. I gotta cut that out because I'm about to talk trash. All right, hold up. The pollution level. The lowest pollution level is in Merida, which scored a 36, and the highest pollution level is all around me. It is Mexico City, coming in at 81, which, if I remember correctly, is lower than the pollution level from last year. So, big things are happening. Things are increasing. Let's see if I know that for sure. I'm pretty sure it is. Pollution. Yes. Last year the pollution level was very high, or 2 years ago I did this. Pollution level was very high at 82, and this year it's very high at 81. going in the right direction. We are. Progress. All right. Next on the list is walk score. The lowest walk score is in Tijuana. It's a 70. Walk score is just about like how walkable a city is. I am no longer interested in living in a city that comes in under 90 on a walk score, really 95. If I was getting paid to be there, I might go down to a 90. If it's at a 70, I'm not going. I don't want to have to hop in a car. After leaving America where everything is so car dependent, and going around the world where other people don't have to live like this. Other people are not living like this. If I want to be in a very walkable city, which is why I'm in Mexico. One of the reasons I'm in Mexico City, which tops the list at 100 out of 100. We don't get a lot of things right on paper, but when we get it right, perfect score. Perfect score for Mexico City for walkability. Some other cities score really well. Monterrey is a 99. Puerto Vallarta is a 98. Guadalajara is 97. Merida is 97. Playa del Carmen is a 98. Anything else I didn't mention is in the 80s. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's just Cancun and Guanajuato are in the 80s. No, Guanajuato is a 98. I can't read numbers, y'all. My eyes aren't doing what my eyes used to do. So Cancun and Guanajuato is 98. So the lowest score is Tijuana, which is 70. Cancun is an 87, which after being in Cancun, so my walkability score also depends on the weather outside. If it's ridiculously hot or ridiculously cold, it's not as walkable as y'all claim it is. It's just not. For me, it's not. So even though it's telling me the Cancun score is 87, I would give it like a 62 based on the weather there. But everything else is in the high 90s. Mexico is a very walkable, generally. The cities are very walkable. Okay, let's talk about weather. I have two categories here, the hottest month and the coolest month. So what is the hottest month for each city and what's the coolest month for each city? But for right now, I'm just going to tell you the hottest cities. I'll tell you the hottest cities. The hottest cities are the hottest month of any of these cities. The one where it gets the highest, it scores the highest, is July in both Monterrey and Tijuana, where both cities are coming in at a high of 99 in July and a low of 76 in July. The hottest month on the cool end, so which city has the coldest, hottest month? That's Mexico City. I actually didn't know that, but yay me, which is another reason I live here. I really like temperate climates. In May, it is 81 and 58, which feels incredibly hot here, but compared to the other cities, it's just breezy. The coolest city in the coolest month is Guanajuato, which goes down to 72 degrees on average in January, 72 and 43, high of 72, low of 43 in January. And now we get to the city that everyone talks about for the heat, and it didn't show up as one of the hottest cities, but let's talk about why. So Merida is here. Merida is here because it is the hottest. It is the city whose coolest month is the hottest of all the other cities. So the coolest month in Merida is February, where it's a high of 87 and a low of 63. And so even though Merida didn't hit the hottest of the hottest cities, because it's in May, it's 97 versus 76, I want to remind y'all that in Merida, even though the coolest month is 87, it's an average of 87. It's hot year round, which is why people always talk about how hot it is, because it's not just a hot season and then like a significantly less hot season. It's just a hot season and then like you got out of the fire and got into the frying pan. It's a little less. There's a little less. Another thing to consider, though, that I need to consider now, because we have a bit of a heat wave in the city, is that in some of these places, air conditioning is normal in building to go into. In some of these places, it's not. We're experiencing a heat wave here in Mexico City. Air conditioning is not normal. So most places don't have it. So while it's like getting up to mid to high 80s, we're kind of like, ugh. Now in Merida, because it's hot year round, they have air conditioning. So that's something to consider. They also have air conditioning bills. And baby, they be in them Facebook groups. Talk about why is my bill so crazy? Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now, it's not like that all the time. I think people let their air conditioning run the first few months they're in town, so they get a bill and they're like, no more. If I'm not inside a room, the air conditioning in that room is not split, because there's usually, the way they're done here is there's a unit for each separate room that has it, not like a whole house thing. So yeah, air conditioning is often a thing that people need and is available in some of the cities, but people also don't realize how much it's going to cost, because that's gonna add to your cost of living. All right, next on the list are the airports. The city with the closest airport to the city center is Tijuana, and that's 3.3 miles away from the city center. And the city with the farthest one, is it on all categories? No. Okay. So this one's kind of complicated. Okay, so the Monterrey airport is 15 miles from the city center, but I didn't put that down as the city with the farthest one from the city center, even though it is. I marked Playa del Carmen as the one with the furthest airport from the city center, because Playa del Carmen has two airports that are really mentioned. One in Cancun, which is 30 miles away. So that is the farthest. But it has a closer one in Cozumel that is 12 miles away. The issue with Cozumel is that you got to get on a ferry to get there. It's on an island. So you got to go car to the ferry to another car to get to the airport. That seems further. That seems like a distance to me if I got to get on a boat to get to the airport. So while by distance from city center it's closest, it's the 12 miles to get to Cozumel is shorter than the 15 miles in Monterrey. I'm still going with that one as the furthest airport away, because most people who come into Playa del Carmen fly into Cancun, which is 30 miles away from the city center of Playa del Carmen. All right. Let me go through and give you some more details about these cities so you have a little bit more to talk about to compare. One of the things that surprised me the most when gathering information for this video is how much the cost of living in cities that I looked at 2 years ago has increased, and how much the rent for a one-bedroom apartment has increased. In Puerto Vallarta, the increase for a one-bedroom apartment was 67% in just 2 years. It went up 67% in 2 years. And that number is large. It's a large increase, but all of the cities I looked at 2 years ago are seeing a large increase. So if you're planning on coming, but you're not planning on coming for a year or two, know that this trend is likely to continue, and you're likely to see numbers that are significantly larger than what I'm talking about right now. If you're looking for more information about renting in Mexico, surprise, surprise, I have a video called Renting in Mexico, What You Need to Know. I'll link to that in the description. It'll help you out dramatically. So yeah, let's get back to the numbers. I'm going to go city by city now. Playa del Carmen, I've told you the cost. Nope, I didn't tell you. The cost of living in Playa del Carmen is $1,823 for one person living a modest lifestyle. And that is living in a one-bedroom apartment in the city center. The population I told you is about 150,000 people. Average download speed is 4 megabytes per second. Average upload speed is 0.93 megabytes per second. Traffic index 64.21. Quality of life is a 57. Quality of healthcare is high at a 75. Crime level is 47. Pollution level is 38, which is really low. Walk score 98. Hottest month is December, where it's 91 to 69, and coolest month is January. I found that's funny. The hottest month and the coolest month are right next to each other, but the coolest month is in January, where the high is 76 and the low is 66. Closest airport is, we'll call it Cancun, at 30 miles away from the city center. Next on our list is Merida, and that has a cost of living of $1,286. One-bedroom apartment in the city center costs on average $537. And let me tell you, I looked at this 2 years ago, and the average cost in Merida was $331 for an apartment in the city center. So you can tell that has grown significantly. We've gone from 330 to 537, 331 to 537. Big jump. The population is 717,000. The average download speed 29.5, average upload speed 10.9. Traffic index 147.84, so it's worse traffic than New York City. Quality of life is a 60, which is a good score. Quality of healthcare 81, also a very high score. Crime level 25, very low score. Merida is known for having low crime, so that's good. Walk score of 97, but like I said, for me that depends on the weather outside. I ain't doing all that walking when it's crazy hot. All right. Hottest month is May, coolest month is February, and the closest airport is Merida, which is 3.73 miles from the city center, although a lot of people go to Cancun, which is about a 4-hour bus ride away. So Cancun tends to have cheaper flight prices than Merida, but Merida does have an international airport. It is in the city. People just skip over it to go to Cancun to get better prices a lot. All right, Mexico City is up next. The cost of living is coming in this year at $1,715. I want to point out that last year, 2 years ago when I did this, it was the top city. I told you that Puerto Vallarta passed it, but Playa del Carmen also passed it to have a higher cost of living. So there's a lot of shifting in these cities and the expense that it takes to live in these cities. Okay. A one-bedroom apartment is on average $621. Now, I don't think I know anybody who's paying that, to be perfectly honest. I don't know anybody who's paying that. But this is the cost of living for a one-bedroom in the city center on a modest lifestyle. So keep that in mind. But like I said, I don't know a lot of people who are coming down here. Like, the way the scale is, there's like modest, then ample, then opulent. And you can change that in the drop-down menu in the Earth of Weight. So I tell most people, just change it to ample, right? Change your budget to at least ample. Some of y'all need to change it to opulent because y'all gonna come down here trying to live an opulent lifestyle. But at least change it to ample so that you know you have some cushion, because most people aren't finding $621 apartments in 2023. I can tell you that. All right, the population we talked about before, 23 million to us who live here, 12 million on paper to the Earth of Weights, which hasn't grown in 2 years, hasn't changed at all in 2 years, according to them. A little sketchy. All right. Average download speed, 8.9 megabytes per second. Average upload speed, 1.2 megabytes per second. Not great, but I never have problems here. The traffic index is 147.84. Nope. Child, I'm lying to you. As I mentioned before, the traffic index is about 350. So 3.5 times the traffic in New York City. The quality of life is 34. I don't know what they use to judge that, but my quality of life is not a 34 out of 100. Quality of healthcare is 66. Crime level 67. Pollution 81. Walk score 100. Hottest month is May, when the high of 81, low of 58. Coolest month is February, high of 75, low of 46. And we have an airport in town, MEX. It's 3.66 miles away from the city center. There's another airport that was recently built. Don't go there. Only fly into MEX. Benito Juarez Airport is what they like to call it. MEX. Or AIFA, which is federal something something. MEX when you're buying your tickets. Don't go to the other airport. This is a total segue, but the other airport is going to take you like 2 hours to get into town. And they're still calling it like a Mexico City airport, but it's not. I don't even know if it's in the same state, baby. It's far. That's a bit of an exaggeration. I'm pretty sure it's in the state that I'm in. I just don't. Everyone I know who's gone there has regretted it. Don't do it. Anyway, moving on to Guadalajara. The cost of living is $1,303, which brings it in as one of the lower cost of living. The lowest ones are Queretaro, Merida, and then Guadalajara. A one-bedroom apartment in Guadalajara will run you $572. The population is 1,500,000. Average download speed is 13.1 megabytes per second. Average upload speed 3.1 megabytes per second. The traffic index is 200, so it's about twice as bad as New York City. Quality of life is 49. Quality of healthcare is 80, which is a great number. And these are not, the quality of healthcare numbers are numbers you should consider if you either have to visit, if you have chronic conditions, you need to visit healthcare providers a lot, or if you're looking at a place you want to settle and you want to age in place. These are things to consider. All right, the crime level in Guadalajara is a 62 out of 100. The pollution level is a 61. The walk score is a 97. Hottest month is May at 90, high of 93, low of 59. Coolest month is January, high of 75, low of 41. Guadalajara has an airport. The first time I went there, I was like, I will never come back to this airport. It is absolutely terrible. But I think that's because I didn't know what I needed to know to maneuver through a Mexican airport, which I think I'll do another video on. Maybe soon. I'll do that. And the Guadalajara airport is 11.3 miles out of city center. It was like the sixth circle of hell in that airport that time. Mostly because I didn't speak Spanish. Mostly it was on me. This is not on them. It was mostly on me, but things to consider. Puerto Vallarta is up next. The cost of living is the highest of all the 10 cities we've talked about, coming in at just over $1,800, $1,834. One-bedroom apartment in Puerto Vallarta in the city center will run you $984. The population is about 200,000 people. Average download speed 3.8 megabytes per second. Average upload speed 0.7. The average upload speed is 0.724 megabytes per second. The traffic index is 52.25. The quality of life is a 59. Quality of healthcare really high at a 90. Crime level is a 35, so it's low. Pollution levels of 59. Walk score at 98. The hottest month, I laughed about this because July, August, September, October all tie as the hottest month in Puerto Vallarta. And they did 2 years ago. Exact same hottest month, exact same number. And that was high of 89, low of 86. So but weather in Puerto Vallarta is not changing over the years. It's not changing over those months. 89 to 76, July through October. March is the coolest month in Puerto Vallarta, where it's a high of 81, low of 65. There is an airport in Puerto Vallarta, and it is 4.63 miles from the city center. All right, Monterrey, which I've never been to. I need to go visit. Has a cost of living coming in at $1,743, and a one-bedroom apartment is $816. Now, I should say this. I'm doing all of these, giving you all of these numbers in dollars and not pesos, and miles and not kilometers, because I think like 90, maybe at least 90% of my audience is in America. And instead of 90% of my audience having to do a calculation, those of you, the 10% of you who are not in America will unfortunately have to calculate from dollars into whatever currency you're using. And to whatever, if you're using kilometers, you got to calculate that yourself. I'm just trying to help out the majority of my audience. I know, I say miles, and I'm like, y'all, half y'all, well, not. Most of the world is like, what is a mile? Why would y'all do this? But it's what we do, so I'm gonna give you what I know and what most of you know. Okay, so the population in Monterrey is 1,135,000 people. Average download speed is coming in really high at 23.7 megabytes per second. Average upload speed, 6.4 megabytes per second. The traffic index is 129.38. The quality of life is coming in at 50. And the quality of healthcare at 69, another good number. The crime level is 48, and the pollution level is 70. It's getting up there. Walk score of 99. It is the hottest of the hottest. So the hottest month in Monterrey is July, and it is high of 99, low of 76. The coolest month is January, where it's a high of 75, low of 49, and the Monterrey airport is 15 miles from the city center. Next on our list is Tijuana, and that has a cost of living of $1,464 a month, and a one-bedroom apartment will cost you $635 a month. The population is 1.3 million. About the average download speed is 6.7 megabytes per second, average upload speed 1.1 megabyte per second. The traffic index is 176.41. So it's about a little less than twice of what New York is. Quality of life is 44. That is the Mexico City came in lowest at 34. Tijuana comes in next at 44, next lowest at 44. But the quality of healthcare is not bad at 74. I know that Tijuana is really popular for people who want to do medical tourism because they can just cross the border from San Diego, come down, get stuff done, and then pop back up, and they're done. So it's good to know that they have some good healthcare there. Crime level is 72, so watch where you're going. And the walk score is 70, which is why I could visit, but I couldn't live there. Also tied with Monterrey for the hottest of the hot months. That is July at high of 99, low of 76. And also tied for the coolest month, which is January, same as Monterrey. And same as Monterrey is a high of 75, low of 49. Tijuana has an airport that is 3.3 miles away. People also cross the border going to San Diego and fly from that airport, which I think is 30 miles? Let me check that, see if I have it written down. No, it's 19 miles. In Queretaro is next on our list, and the cost of living is $1,148. It also has that's the lowest cost of living out of all of these cities. It also has the lowest one-bedroom apartment price, which I mentioned before, which is $513. The population is 626,000 people. Average download speed, 16.9 megabytes. Average upload speed, 11.2 megabytes per second. The traffic index is 235. So, a little bit more than twice as bad as New York City. Quality of life is a 50. Quality of healthcare is coming in at 73. The crime level is a 53. Pollution level is a 58. And the walk score is a 99. I don't remember Querétaro being that walkable when I visited. But maybe in the core city center it is. I don't know. The hottest month is May, and it's a high of 90, low of 56. Coolest month is February, high of 78, low of 40. Querétaro has an airport that is 21 miles from the city center. Cancun is up next, and Cancun has a cost of living of $1,569 a month, and a one-bedroom apartment there in the city center will run you a modest one-bedroom apartment will run you $728. The population is about 542,000 people. Average download speed 7.4 megabytes per second. I've said it so many times I already forgot it. And the average upload speed is 5.1 megabytes per second. The traffic index is 110, which is just a smidge above New York City. Quality of life is 56. Quality of healthcare 75. Crime level 55. Pollution level 39. You're getting that ocean breeze. You're not getting the pollution. You're getting an ocean breeze. Pollution level 39. Walk score 87. Skeptical. It's too hot to be walking out in Cancun. A hottest month is July, where it's an average high of 89, average low of 77. And the coolest month is February, with an average high of 79 and an average low of 66. And the Cancun airport is 9.72 miles from the city center. Last on our list, for no reason other than where I wrote it, is Guanajuato, which I really enjoy, but I wouldn't want to live there, personally. Nothing wrong with it. It's just Mexico City is my city, right? So I would say that for all the other cities I've listed. Wouldn't want to live there. The cost of living is $1,598. A one-bedroom apartment will run you $672. The population is low. It is 171,000 people, which is the second lowest population, second only to Playa del Carmen. The average download speed is 22.6 megabytes, which is high for this list. And the average upload speed is the highest on the list, coming in at 44.1. The traffic index is 79.7, so there's less traffic than New York City. But quality of life is coming in at 54. Quality of healthcare coming in at 60, which is the lowest on the list. Something to consider. Crime level is 50. Pollution level 51, walk score 98. Guanajuato is also a hilly city, and so I don't believe that 98 either. When you're looking at cities here, anywhere else in the world, the terrain is going to play a large part. Some cities in Mexico are really, really hard to walk through, either because of the way the sidewalks are built or the hills. I like the cities in Portugal, like Lisbon, big cities, Lisbon and Porto. Hard to walk on, cobblestones, hills, it's a lot. Guanajuato isn't completely like that, but it's enough like that I'm doubting the 98 walk score. The hottest month in Guanajuato is May, with an average high of 92 and an average low of 59. I think it's one of the bigger spreads we've seen. Guadalajara spreads from 93 to 59 in their highest month. Okay. And then the coolest month in Guanajuato is a high of 72, low of 43, which makes Guanajuato the coolest city in its coolest month, right? Of all the cool months I mentioned here, Guanajuato had the lowest average temperature in everyone's coolest month. The Guanajuato airport is in Leon, and it is 14.5 miles away from the city center. All right, if you watched my video, which I'll link below, about the 5 cities that were best for Black expats, how did you feel about this one? I'm not calling this video best for Black expats because I don't know a single Black person moving to Monterrey. I'm sure they're there. I just haven't talked to them, right? And so I looked at cities. I kind of just gave you all the Mexican cities I could find information on so that you had a better idea of in the comparisons, like what's out there, what's available. That was a lot of information. I know you may need to go back, rewind, and watch some of this over again so you can get the details about the cities you want. But I'm hoping these comparisons helped you figure out what cities in Mexico are attractive to you and what is not attractive. Whenever I look at something like this, one of the first things I consider are what categories are important to me, right? So whatever things that I'm going to focus on, it's not going to be like, there are things that I care about that I know that a lot of you watching won't care about. And so make your list of what you care about and then watch the video again and see where those things fall. I'm going to say it again because I think it's really important. I was surprised by how much the cost of living and the price of one-bedroom apartments increased over the past 2 years in the cities I track data for. But I make content like this about Mexico at Mexico City all the time. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't given this a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up. And then if you haven't already watched my last video about the top 5 cities, if you're interested in Mexico City, I make a ton of content about that. I'll link some of that below as well, because honestly, I love living here. I've been here on and off since 2019, on since 2020. And it's my favorite place. So I hope this helped, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.